Okay, it's time for another question and answer, so let's go. Hi everyone, welcome to the Mobile Club Maker. I'm AJ. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. So we're going to change up our sort of routine here a little bit and post one of my question and answer videos here on a Friday as opposed to when I've been doing them on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Since it's a holiday weekend, I figure this probably makes more sense. I have a new video coming out beginning of next week that's going to be all about lie angles, so definitely check that out when it drops on Tuesday. But for today, we are going to be answering some questions that we've gotten from the comment section of our videos, and hopefully this will help you out a little bit if you have similar questions. So first up today, we have a question from Mark the Golf Addict, and he wrote, can you talk about back weighting, such as the tour lock weights, more specifically wedges, irons, and woods? I tried it once and it had a very unique feel, but I sold the set. So what Mark is basically talking about is you can buy aftermarket weights that go in the butt end of the shaft, and these come in a variety of weight options, everything from, I think the lowest or something like 10, 15, something like that, and they can go up to being very heavy. They can get up into 40, 50, 60, or even more putter weights. You can get even heavier ones. And the basic idea is you're basically moving the balance point of the shaft around, moving the balance point of the club around, adding more weight to the back end of it, which makes the head feel lighter. It would make the swing weight, obviously, much lighter. Now, the important thing to remember when you're getting into any of these sort of back weighting options is, yes, it is making the club head feel lighter. It is reducing the swing weight. So if you were at, say, a D2 on your clubs, your irons, let's say, and you added, 40-gram counterweights to them, well, that's going to make it go from, say, a D2 down to something like a C2. It's going to have a very different feel. But that C2 is going to be very different feeling than just a C2 weight club that was just made based off of, the grip, the shaft, and the head weight without adding extra counterweighting. So while yes, the swing weight is getting lighter, the overall club weight is getting heavier. You're adding mass to the overall club weight because you're adding that counterweight. So that's important to remember, because it's not like you're just making the club lighter and you're going to swing it faster. That's not really how it works, because in the end, you are adding more mass to that club. The entire club is getting heavier. It's just how it's balanced. Now, that being said, how much you're going to benefit from that, how much you're going to like that feel, is really going to be on a case-by-case basis. Some people are going to feel that counterweight, and it may help them. It may improve their sequencing, their timing. They may see an improvement in their ball striking as far as how consistent they are. Other people may see a completely different reaction to it and spray the ball all over, may not have the head feel anymore that they maybe liked originally. So I know also some people like to use the counterweights when they start building out longer drivers, right? You get a 46, a 47-inch driver, and then you start thinking, well, the swing weight says it's now D8 or E0 or E1, and that's too heavy, so I'm going to put a counterweight in it to bring it back down to, say, a D4. And yes, according to the swing weight, the scale, that is happening. But again, remember, you are adding weight. So the overall weight of the club is getting heavier. So even though the scale is saying that it's gotten lighter, the weight of the club has gotten heavier. So while I know some people do that, I have found in a lot of cases when people try that, they end up taking it back out because it doesn't work out the way they hoped. The other case where you're going to be seeing counterbalancing is with putters. And putters are really a different sort of animal altogether because of how you hold the putter, the amount of distance that putter is covering in your stroke. It's a very small stroke. So the counterbalancing can be, again, it's going to be unique. It's going to be individualized. It's going to be based on how each particular golfer, senses that change. But again, this is just something you have to play with. I can't sit here and tell you that, a counterbalanced club is going to be right for you, because it may be for some people, but it may not be. And that's really something you just have to try, get a counterbalance weight, take the grip off one of your irons, one of your middle irons, put it in, put a grip back on it, and go try it for, a week or something like that. I definitely wouldn't go and just go all in with a whole set and, counterbalance everything. I would say start with one club, see what you get out of it, and if it seems like it's something that's working, then go back, maybe then do the whole set. Second question we got, this is from Claude Voyer, and he was asking, with all the adjustable drivers, do you start by setting the head to a neutral position? Now, this was written in response to the video I just did about maximizing your driver for distance and accuracy based on, sort of shortening it up and then adding some weight back to it. So he is basically, I believe, asking, when you're going through this process of trying to sort of dial in your driver and get it as good as you can get it for yourself, do you start out with the driver just in its off-the-rack neutral position, or do you start off with it in maybe whatever position you've decided it works better for you in? And what I would say is, if you have the driver and you've played with it and you've played around with the different adjustments on it, I would set it and keep it in whatever setting you have it in. Start there, make the length adjustments, make the weight adjustments accordingly, and then play it like that. Now, if the club is brand new, if you haven't really played around with it, if you've never messed around with the settings, then I would say do the length, do the head weighting, do that first. And look, check out what you're seeing. What kind of ball flight are you getting? Are you getting, something too high, something too low? Is the spin seeming to be a little bit of a problem? Sort of gauge what you're doing then, and then adjust the club from there. So, if you've got adjustable sliding weights that you can adjust left and right, and you see you're hitting a fade, well then maybe move that weight more towards the heel and see if that helps. You may find after you have changed the driver for the length, maybe you've shortened it an inch and maybe you've added some weight to the head, that maybe the settings that you originally had aren't either correct or maybe they aren't necessary. Maybe you were fighting a slice because the club was too long and maybe it was too light, and so you were hitting high slices, let's say, so you had the settings set to maximum draw and maybe de-lofted. But once you go through this and you start hitting that, that center point or that spot just above the center of the club face more consistently, maybe that slice goes away, or at least is minimized, and maybe the ball flight comes down, let's say. So in that case, if you go through that and you notice that, well then maybe it makes sense to go back and tweak those settings on your adjustable driver. Maybe don't have it so closed to help with the slice and maybe bring the loft down. So just sort of play around with it, but I would say as a starting point, I would just go with whatever you basically had it in, whether it was, if it was in the stock setting and you hadn't really messed with it, start there. If you had messed around with it and you had found settings that seemed to work better for your game, start there. Okay, the last question today came from Keith. He said, would it be possible for you to do a video explaining the pros and cons of putting additional manufacturers or stick-on weights to a driver? I may be speaking for others as well, but I can't feel where the club head is during my swing. Would adding weights help with this, plus help with extra distance? So what we're talking about here is really, we're talking about adding either manufacturer's weights that you can buy, either the OEM weights or aftermarket weights if you've got different slider weights or different screw-in type weights, getting those in different weight options, or adding just good old lead tape. Is this a good way to help get the feel back in the driver? And by that we mean the head feel, feeling where the head is through the swing. And the answer to that is most definitely yes. Either lead tape or those little weights, either one, they're doing the same basic thing. It's really just going to depend on, do you care if the back of your driver, the back of your club has some lead tape slapped all over it, which is not going to be as clean, is not going to be as neat looking as having the little different weight screws that you can just pop in and it'll still have that basically factory look to it without any of the tape on it. But if you look at guys on tour, if you look at professionals, a lot of them have lead tape all over their clubs. They've got lead tape on their irons, they've got lead tape on their fairway woods, drivers, they've even got it on their putters. They just don't they don't care about the look, they want the results. They're looking for a certain feel, and they're going to add lead tape accordingly until they get the right thing. Obviously, they have access to all the different weights if they wanted factory weights and different weights and different weight options to try and get the right feel, but they are quite happy using lead tape. So lead tape is a great product. It's so easy, it's so versatile, it's removable. So if you decide, oh, I turns out I added too much, or I don't like the ball flight now with this lead tape on there, you can peel it right back off. No harm, no foul. So that's a great thing about it. Again, you can take the weights out too, obviously, and switch back to the original weights. Finding the weights takes a little more effort. You have to usually order them online and make sure you're getting the right weight for the right club, and it's going to be sort of club specific as far as what weights work, or at least brand specific at least. Sometimes it's club specific on top of that, driver versus fairway wood. Lead tape works equally well on everything. So I would definitely say if the club head feels too light, definitely get some lead tape. Start adding, add a couple 3-inch pieces just somewhere on the back of the head, just on the opposite side of the face, and just play around with it and see what it feels like, and see if that helps you have a better feel for where the club head is. See if that helps you really square the face up at impact. The other part of that question was asking, will it help with extra distance? And the answer is probably yes, for two reasons really. The first reason is, well, one, if you're hitting it in the center of the head more consistently, in the center of the face, that's going to give you better distance. So, and obviously, if you're having trouble with the head being open or closed at impact, and so you're hitting high slices or low hooks, that is not going to give you your best distance. So if you can square the face and hit it down the fairway, you're going to get better distance. But also, if the club head has more mass, if you have more mass behind the ball coming into it at impact, that will, in theory, translate to a little bit more distance. Now, yes, if you keep adding weight, it theoretically will give you more and more distance based on the physics of it, but there is sort of a point of diminishing returns, so you just sort of, and it varies a little bit depending on golfer, but the manufacturers have kind of figured out, what the basic head weight of a driver needs to be to really sort of walk that line and give you the best combination of distance and accuracy. But a little extra weight, a little extra mass should, in theory, give you a little bit better ball speeds. So, slap some lead tape on there and just see what happens. Again, it's not going to be a permanent solution unless you leave it there. So if you don't like it, or if you decide well, I put it out here on the toe maybe a little bit, maybe I'll move it to the heel. Again, you can take it off. You can usually take the piece of tape off and re-stick it a few times. The tape is usually pretty sticky, so you've got some options as far as how long you can play around with it. But again, a whole roll of this I think is $5 or $10 for a big roll of it, and you can do a whole bunch of clubs with it. So I always keep lead tape in my bag and in the shop. I think it's a great tool to mess around with the balance, mess around with the feel of a club, everything from driver through putter. So definitely get some lead tape and just go play with it and see what see what kind of results you get. If you have a question you'd like me to answer, definitely go down in the comments below and ask that question, and we will see if we can't get it on one of these question and answer videos. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you'll be alerted when I post new videos. I am now on Patreon. You can find me at AJ Golf if you really want to dive into club building, club repair, custom club work. That is definitely somewhere I would check out. I'm also on Instagram. You can find me at Mobile Club Maker, and we will see you next time.